So on 25th, the session at Raman Kendra is coming up.
So usually Ramana has always talked about I, that one needs to observe this I. So this has been the basis of his teachings always. So what exactly does Raman mean to be constantly observing the I? His answers are always surrounded by observing the I and witnessing that thing. So what are the bases of his teaching?
See, appearances are deceptive. Not only sometimes, but always. You look at these faces here. Shwanka, why not point the camera there for a while? Raman here would be the last one with whom you would probably want to attach the word rebel. But Raman is absolute rebellion. Absolute rebellion. Do you know what absolute means? Absolute means pure. All his life, Raman had only one answer. What is pure is one. Do you get this? What is pure is one. Purity means oneness. All his life, Raman had only one answer to anything you would ask him. He might use many words, but if you look closely at the words, he had just one thing to say. Find out who is asking the question. He actually had never any other response to give. Never any other response to give. There was a certain oneness in his response to life. He didn't have a bag of tricks. Krishna has 18 chapters and talks of 18 different kinds of yoga. With Raman, there are no 18 or 1800 types. There is just one. Who is it that speaks? Who is it that acts? Who is it who is inquiring? Who is it that is restless? Who is it that is going to learn? Who is it who forgets? Simple. Even Kabir is sometimes classified as a poet in the Bhakti tradition, and there are others who say no, he can't really be categorized, and there are others who say that he belongs to the path of knowledge, Gyan. So there can be divergence because Kabir talked of this and that and everything. And he often said things that are seemingly at odds with each other. They are actually not, but it appears. Raman was one pointed, one track. And it is such a huge rebellion against the apparent diversity that enslaves the mind. What is the mind a slave to? The mind is a slave to appearances. And when you say appearances, you mean diversity. When you say appearances, you mean 1,000 colors, you mean 1,000 sounds, you mean shapes and forms and names, and all of them are different and diverse. For Raman, there is no diversity. He refuses to acknowledge diversity. For him, diversity is not real at all. Only the Atma is real. Getting it? So, like him, his method of asking who am I, the Koham technique, is also greatly rebellious. It does not entertain the stupidity of mind at all. And it also does not entertain the stupidity of methods that rest on a validation, a justification, an acknowledgement of diversity. For example, when we say that there are 1,000 methods of meditation, what have we done? You see, meditation is about being there where there are no numbers, no diversities. And you are saying 1,000 methods of meditation. In Raman's world, this statement is a stupidity. So for him, there is no method of meditation. Or at best, at most, one method. Are you getting it? He rebels against tradition. Though we call him Maharshi, and we aptly call him Maharshi, belong to any tradition. Are you getting it? He simply does not acknowledge any rules or formulae that tradition and scriptures have handed over to us. In fact, it often would happen that people would ask him that this point that you are speaking contradicts something that is mentioned in the scriptures, and then you would say scriptures are for those who are still learning. Scriptures are hence only for the deluded. Scriptures are not at all for those who have attained Jnana. That would be his reply. So what do the scriptures say? The scriptures say, here is a particular method. The Bhakti Margis say, Bhakti is the method. The Karma Yogi would say, Karma is the method. Nishkam Karma, let's say, is the method. The Gyan Margi would say, heightening of consciousness is the method. And they say this is the method. Raman says, do you know who is asking the question? And if you do not know who is asking the question, how can you suggest a method? There can be no method because there have to be an infinite numbers of methods, because the mind is capable of taking an infinite shapes. Hence I have to first ask, who is asking the question? And the moment I see who is asking the question, the method emerges from there. In fact, the asking of the question itself is the method. Are you getting it? There is no rigidity in his approach. He will not say devotion is the way. Of course, he did not reject devotion. But neither did he say that devotion is the way, bhakti is the way. He did not say that. He rejects nothing and he stands for nothing. Please understand this. So, when you knock on his door, he asks, who is it? That's his method. He says, who is it? Introduce yourself. Is that not a sane thing to do? Is that not something that must always be done? So the moment you say, I am troubled, he would immediately ask you, who is troubled? Bring him in front of me. Make him sit here. And the moment you want to find out who is it, the troubled one, it often happens that instead of trouble, you find only peace. When somebody knocks on your door, do you just go and open the door? You first want to know. When somebody comes to you, do you have the same response and reaction to everybody? Your response and reaction depends on who is it that you are meeting. It depends on who you are meeting, or does it not? So when you go to Raman, he says, who are you? Who are you? That is the path of self-inquiry. Ask yourself, who are you? Blindly, I will not give you any answer. You must first know who are you. And if you do not know who you are, go find out. Turn inwards and figure out who is asking the question. So there is this great world where the universe is taken as rigid, predictable, and finite. Raman knew better than that. He understood that a mere 100 techniques will not work. Even 1,000 would not work. Even 10,000 would not work. You require a million techniques. You require a million techniques. You require an infinite number of techniques because the mind has an infinite capacity, like a chameleon. Oh, the mind ashames the chameleon. We have Kabir here, and he said, मन के बहुतक रंग हैं छिन छिन बदले सोए. The word बहुतक means many, and it is a very gentle understatement. Kabir said many when he meant infinite. When he meant beyond count. The mind has so many. In this realization, Raman is Buddha-like. Raman does not take you to be a fixed entity. How can I ask you to follow the path of karma when you do not exist? If I say that Joydeep here must follow Karma Yoga, then there must be somebody called Joydeep to follow Karmayog. Just as the Buddha realized that Joydeep is nothing, nobody substantial. Joydeep is just a flow, a movement that is continuously happening. There is nothing permanent or stable in that movement. Joydeep is changing every moment. So how can he be suggested something permanent, stagnant? When the patient is changing every moment, how can the disease be constant? And hence, how can
the medicine be constant?
The medicine be constant. So at the moment when you say I am a patient, the doctor needs to ask, who exactly are you? What exactly is your disease? And that answer has to be then and there. It is not an answer that you can borrow from the past or carry forward to the future.
So you don't have time to ponder.
You don't have time to ponder. It's something that works instantaneously. And hence the response of the doctor to your disease must constantly vary, because you are never the same. You are never the same. Do you see how great a rebellion this is? When you go to a saint, you expect a particular saintly treatment from him. Raman does not give you that. But at the same time you would say, sir, his responses, as far as we have read and heard,
are the same.
Used to appear to be the same. He would be sitting comfortably. And whosoever would come to him, he would respond in a few words, and that's all.
And that's why we don't, you feel bored after reading. You feel as if the answers are the same.
There are many people who do not see much diversity there, so their mind starts feeling bored.
I find Ramana one of the best.
Go find out. Go figure out. Go inquire. Go ask. Go hum. All these questions only mean now face the truth. And the moment you face the truth, the shadows are
Gone.
That's Raman's method.
When you say face,
Are the shadows really gone?
No.
Yes and no.
For you it's gone, but
Yes and no. If a man is standing next to you and looking in the same direction as you, he will say, yes sir, the shadows are really gone. Just as you do not see shadows, even
I can't see.
Even I do not see shadows. So I validate your observation, there are no shadows. But if a man is standing next to you and he is facing in the opposite direction, he will say, you have been fooled. There were shadows before and there are shadows even now. No shadows have gone away. Your life has not changed. You will smile and say, it has totally changed. I see no shadows. He will say, the shadows are still there. He's right, but totally wrong. He's right. The shadows are still there. Why are the shadows there? Because he sees the shadows.
So when it is said that face your gaze towards the truth, so truth cannot be captured in mind.
Truth cannot be.
It's beyond mind.
It's beyond mind.
So saying truth is also shadows.
Shadows, yes.
So facing would be being present to what is, as in what is going on.
Yes, of course.
That is it.
Actually, he is saying, be honest. When he says, go find out, all that he is saying is, boss, can you be honest towards yourself for a while?
So the problem comes that, like he was saying, he was confused that whether the fear that he was talking about, is he actually witnessing it in the true sense, or whether it is again a jargon or whatever. The mind always tries to make concepts of everything. Why does this happen? Like when we are talking about fear, the mind always tries to make, all right, this is fear and we should not do this, and the opposite would be true because we should do this. Why does it so happen?
Because the mind has been told that certain things are good and certain things are bad. When you say fear, it is not merely, when you say fear, it is not merely a sound. It is an entire world of images. An entire world.
Yeah.
It carries so many connotations. Every word is a universe. Every word is a total universe. Fear is not just another sound. When it falls on your ears, it changes your being. Does it not?
Yes.
You are no more the same person. It is not something objective outside of you. With the result that you can never really be with it. Be with fear or be with anything. Why can't you be with it? Because you have already been told what to make of it. So you've already been told that fear is something bad. So when it falls on your ears, immediately an automatic system goes off. Back. To some extent it is genetic, to some extent it is social. You see something and immediately it sets off a chain of automatic reactions in your mind. Good, bad, this and that. And the moment this automatic process begins, it becomes impossible to really come close to the happening. How can I answer your question? If automatically there is a rigid judgment here that his questions do not deserve to be answered, that he always asks bad questions.
Yes.
But that's the whole danger with naming, with having names. You have the same name today that you had yesterday and day before yesterday. Name conserves the past. You have the same face today, almost the same face today that you had 2 months back. So the moment this face comes in front of me, entire past comes in front of me. Do you understand this?
Yes.
So how can I come close to you? The entire past and the experiences and the knowledge is standing between you and me now. I cannot come to you. That's the thing with name and form. That's the thing with anything that has boundaries. It is rigid. Boundaries mean rigidity. Now I cannot approach you. Similarly, fear has a name and form. In fact, you can try it out. You ask kids to draw fear and you will see how easily they are able to put fear in forms, and there will be quite predictable forms. The colors used would be mostly black and red. Hardly anybody would paint fear in pink or in blue. Nobody would paint fear in these colors. Fear would be painted in
Black and red.
black and red.
So there's one thing, a sense of constancy keeps us away from actually seeing the thing, that the face is saying that this person is something constant. When I'm in fear, I feel that this situation is going to remain, or it is something permanent damage is going to happen. It gives a sense of constancy. And in the world of mind, nothing is constant.
But we want that. We want that.
Continuity.
Continuity, that permanence. We want that. Just that we want it within the stretch of time, which by definition is about coming and going. So within the field of coming and going, we want something that
Remain stable.
and does not come and go. And we want it here, in our world, on this earth, relative to this body, relative to thoughts and ideas, expressible in words. We are using all the means and methods that are applicable to the world in which things are changing and ephemeral. But our hope is that change and change and change totally scares the mind. Nothing is stable here. Give me something that remains firm. Nothing remains firm.
We are trying to actually get something from mind which is against its nature.
Against its habit.
So why did you say habit, not nature? Is it
No, the nature of the mind again is not restlessness. This restlessness that the mind exhibits is not really its nature. That's why it suffers in this restlessness. Going against its nature, it suffers. It's an acquired habit, not nature.
then could have not suffered? One thing I would like to ask is why, for example, you said when somebody comes in front of me, so the whole past comes. How exactly can this happen as if you're talking to somebody? For example, I'm talking to you and the past is not hindering now. There's a Hindi song on it. कि चलो आज फिर से आज नवी बन जाए. But that doesn't really happen. I mean, the past comes in and
Face the truth all the time. The past will always be there, like that shadow. Let it be there, only like that shadow. There, yet not there. Present, but not interfering. The shadow is there, but it is not interfering in my vision. Why? Why is it not interfering in my vision?
Because I'm not looking at it.
I'm not looking at it. It's there, but I'm not looking at it. You have that power. You have that choice. Exercise it. You have the choice to look either at the light or at shadows. Keep looking at the light. Keep looking at the light. Behind your back, there would always be shadows. But always behind you. You remain one step ahead of them. So even if you are one step ahead of them, yet they would be right under your step, right under your feet. But that's the closest they can get to you.
is it more of a habit?
Facing this way rather than that way? Yes, it's an acquired habit.
So this mental churning is nothing but a choice to just be away from the truth.
Yes, you are fascinated with shadows, as sometimes kids are. You cannot really do anything with light. The light will not cater to your whims. Have you seen
Yes.
how kids play game with shadows?
Yes, I've seen
They would take their hands and draw something like this, and this looks like a deer. There are so many things that you can do with shadows, but you can't do anything with light.
It's more like the answer of Bhagwan Raman, as if always saying the same thing. Go back to yourself. So with falsities, with different, you can play around. The questioner can play around, but the answer remains the same. So that's why.
In front of light, you can only surrender. You can just be overawed and overjoyed. With shadows, there are so many possibilities, so many diversities now. Come into the picture. They all are black diversities.
So Maya has been portrayed in two ways, for example, something is there, and it makes you see something else, and the other thing is something is not there. So we have talked about one thing, that something is not there and still you are, it is making you see.
The other is also fairly simple. There are people who hypnotize themselves into thinking that the sun is contained somewhere in the shadows. There are people who start thinking that they are looking at the sun when all they are staring at is the shadows. So life is full of darkness, yet if you approach them, they'll put up a fake smile and say, no, my life is all resplendent with truth. See how everything is bathed in light, and you look at the life and say, I only see darkness. Where do you see light? They say, no, this is not darkness, this is light. So this is about seeing something. That's the thing with shadows. Nobody who's looking at shadows would say that he's looking at shadows. That's the ultimate humiliation to shadows, They can't even declare themselves to be shadows. When you're looking at shadows, what is your self-defense?
Yeah.
They are not shadows, they are
Light.
the sun, light. You cannot say these are shadows and yet keep looking at them.
Yes.
How will you then answer the question that why are you avoiding the sun?
That's
So
why.
you will never say that I am looking at shadows. So there are some people who are actually looking at the sun, and there are others who claim that they are looking at the sun. There is nobody who can claim that he is looking at
The shadow.
the shadows. Ramana Maharshi would catch you in the moment of suffering and say, find out where the suffering is. That's the moment when you will have to acknowledge that you were looking at shadows. He would expose your lies. And he would not do it through assertion. He would do it through suggestion. He would suggest that you find out. In a very modest way, in a seemingly very innocuous way. He would totally dismantle your falseness. You won't even be alerted. You won't even know that your ego is under severe attack. You won't even know. That man had such a gentle demeanor. He gave you no hint that he is going to strangulate your ego. But he would.
Very playfully.
Very playfully. In a sense, very deceptively. Only later on could you go and complain to him, Father, you really killed me.
La 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 la. So, looking at the truth, there are no chance for shadows, and whatever the mind generates, if not 100%, 99.99 is shadows. So, this fact is that I am more conditioned to seek securities within the shadows, and the shadows are the reason why there are insecurities in the first place. So, when I look at the truth, so it would need a lot of faith.
Yes.
Shadows मेरा कुछ बिगाड़ नहीं पाएंगी. I don't have to turn back. I don't have to rely on myself for my protection. So,
Old habits have a certain momentum.
yes. So
it may take a while.
but the suffering is likewise right now too.
You will have to pass through it.
Sleeping, I don't want to sleep. I want to listen, but it is coming back. And
It is coming back because the sun is a threat. It is coming back because the shadows are smarter than you are. They know that they are under attack. So at this very moment, they must seize you or they would lose you. You are being seized by your own deluded self. Grasping for breath, it is clutching at your neck.
I can't do anything about it.
You are already doing something about it. You are sitting in front of me.